Hello. When we talk about education, we make reference to the hallmark of human capital development with a special emphasis on teacher education and teaching profession. And that happens to be our focus tonight on Weekend File. Thank you for choosing to invest your time with us on this show. The role of teachers in the lives of children and the youth in the formative years of their development cannot be overstated. Teachers who help us as people are responsible for imparting some life's most important lessons. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. But the declining status of the teaching profession and teachers in Nigeria have become an issue of concern because the situation is also affecting the quality of graduates produced at all levels of education. There are plethora of instances where teachers come to classes occasionally owing to some factors such as poor remuneration, remoteness of the school's location, delayed salaries, absence of teachers' welfare, and lack of basic teaching materials. These days, teachers hardly receive on-the-job training, and educators frequently share the fact that teaching is the most difficult job anyone can have and the most rewarding. But in Nigeria, it is a job dreaded by many simply because of the way it is perceived. To address the situation, the current administration in the country recently released new roadmap to guide the Ministry of Education tackle the myriad of challenges confronting the education sector with emphasis on teacher education. I will guide you to make sense of it all in tonight's edition of the program. My name is Kirian Umayo, and this is Weekend File. On the news making headlines today, about 150 soldiers took part in the presidential change of guard parade in Abuja. Dibla Brooksland Sunday, who monitored the event, reports that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tokro Buratai, directed that henceforth the parade be done at the National Cenotaph.
It was a spectacular display by the Guards Brigade as the parade for the first time is done openly at the National Cenotaph since the relocation of power to Abuja from Lagos. The event is a weekly duty to change between old quarter guards and the new ones. The Presidential Guard has the constitutional mandate to protect the President and his family at the Presidential Villa. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Theater Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Lucky Irebo, under the Nigerian Army Quick Impact Project, has donated educational materials to school children at the internally displaced persons camp in Yola. Ladi Bala reports that he was represented at the occasion by the Commander 23rd Armored Brigade, Yola, Brigadier General Benson Akinrolio.
They are victims of insurgency whose educational pursuit has suffered setbacks sequel to their violent displacement by insurgents. Concerted efforts geared towards bridging the gap in the educational development of these young minds constitute priority on the agenda of concerned stakeholders. To this end, the proactive intervention by the Nigerian Army under its Quick Impact Project as part of social responsibility could not have come at a better time than now.
The Nigerian Army deployed officers and soldiers of the Education Corps to teach in various IDP camps in the Northeast.
Items donated include 10,000 exercise books, 120 textbooks, 3,000 erasers, 50 cartons of whiteboard markers and 10 mobile whiteboard, among others, to be shared among schools in 3 IDP camps in Yola. The State Commissioner of Education, represented by the Permanent Secretary Mahmoud Abubakar, said the intervention by the Nigerian Army is timely and in line with the posture of the state government, which has declared a state of emergency on the educational sector. In Yola, Ladibala, NTA News.
And that's good news for IDP children. The African Development Bank has approved a corporate loan worth $40 million for the Afe Babalola University Ado-Ekiti to finance expansion plan that will help leverage on quality education, especially in science and technology. Michael Olaleye has that report.
Breaking new grounds in education exploration is a feat that has become synonymous with the Afe Babalola University. Aside being the fastest growing private university in Africa, the institution is currently dictating the tones in engineering, law and science programs. Another giant stride added to its compendium of successes is the loan facilitated by the African Development Bank. These, according to the Senior Vice President Flamin Lotian, did not only make the institution the first to benefit from the private sector transaction in the education sector, but we enable it to courageously continue its expansion plan, which consists of a 400-bed teaching hospital, an industrial research park, and a megawatt hydropower installation.
We are the only university, apart from Cairo University, that has backed on research industrial park. That's one of the things that entice them. The loan is given because they appreciate that our university is different from others. If you read the letter, you will see that they talked about innovative and market-driven curriculum offered by our board, as well as our partnership with international organizations in other parts of the world.
Under the project, Abuja is expected to generate over 12,000 high-quality and employable graduates, in addition to over 2,400 trained farmers who will benefit from the university's farm training program. The loan, a 10-year development investment in Nigeria with double Abuja's current student capacity, creates 250 new staff positions as well as 1,000 temporary jobs across the construction supplies and consulting in value chain. In Ado-Ekiti, Michael Ale, NTA News.
Nigeria and the European Union have agreed to expand their cooperation beyond the existing development partnership in the areas of energy, science and technology, climate change, agricultural research, transportation, and education. The Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Obunaya Onu, received the European Union delegation that came to discuss the new areas of partnership in Abuja. Chidinma Ndubisi reports.
The minister noted that although Nigeria and the European Union have excellent relations, there is the need to build a stronger bridge, especially in science and technology, which is at the center of economic diversification.
We will also be interested in the training program and the cooperation in the areas of research. We are working very hard to help move Nigeria away from a resource-based economy by emphasizing a knowledge-based, innovation-driven economy.
There are perhaps 300, 400 programs of cooperation between South African universities and European universities. Today in Nigeria, it's less than 1/10 of this number. So there is really room for improvement.
Dr. Obunaya Onu also met with the Portuguese Foreign Affairs and Cooperation team, pledging to work together with Portugal in exchanging science and tech ideas, improving cultural and economic relations, as well as investment opportunities of both countries. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has hailed the rich cultural heritage of the Benin Kingdom, saying it remains one of the famous destinations during the exploitation of the African continent by Europeans. The minister was speaking at the opening of an exhibition in commemoration of the coronation of the new Oba of Benin. Anthony Folson was there for us.
The Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, while describing the people of Edo as highly skilled in arts and crafts, said they have continued to maintain the rich legacy of the Benin Kingdom with their colorful festivals and engagement in arts production.
Our rich culture is respectable for the global world to behold. Nigeria has become an irresistible and important site of culture, creativity, and intellectual property.
The minister, however, lamented the plundering of the priceless pieces of Benin artwork during the attack on the ancient Benin Kingdom by the British in 1897.
What remains of lot in African history is the sad and regrettable narrative of the wanton and unrestrained massacre of the ancient Benin Kingdom. Although some of the works have been repatriated, till date, some other choice works are still adorned exhibition spaces in museums across Europe and America.
The ESA of Benin, Chief Sam Ibe, who declared the exhibition opened, chronicled the history of the Benin arts and how it has been sustained till date.
The artworks of display today demands that we think and that we grieve, lest we forget that we are ourselves artists.
In Benin, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Africast 2016 has come and gone, but one of the takeaways from the event was the call on government to adequately fund the Nigerian Television Authority (NTA) and other public broadcasting outfits as the nation transits from analog to digital broadcasting. Timothy Yusuf tells us more.
The Nigerian Television Authority has been working ahead of the digital switch over date in order to achieve a smooth transition. Project coordinator of the NTA's integrated television services sheds light on the authority's level of preparedness.
Already in Jos, we have made our foot to be known. Right as I speak with you, we have 15 channels running in Jos. Now, in the next 2 months to come, we intend to be in Abuja and make our foot to be known.
It is on this premise that experts are hopeful that with adequate funding towards improving its content, the NTA will leave no stone unturned to achieve its set goals.
If they have quality programming, what a lot of people have been talking about here, they can sell them anywhere in the world and make more money. Added to that, train their personnel more. Government must fund it 100% and let the professionals do the rest.
NTA's delegates to Africast 2016 speak.
Digitization in Nigeria might be eroded with content from outside. Why? Because the producer doesn't have the resources.
We need more training of the personnel that will handle this stage of broadcasting.
In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Now, harnessing the inherent resources in everyone has been identified as a critical way of dealing with any challenge in life. This submission was made at the 17th Annual Diocesan Women's Conference in Abuja, as Uchenwizu reports.
With the theme, Fan into Flame the Gift of God in You, the conference seeks to encourage women to persevere in the face of the crisis Nigeria is experiencing, as there is always light at the end of the tunnel. The forum believes that it is time everyone taps from God-given talents and apply them in reviving the economy from the present downturn.
We are therefore calling on the government to seriously explore diversification.
Primate of all Nigeria, the Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, is optimistic that matters concerning women are not relegated by the present administration and that in no distant time, the nation will smile again.
We should work more is to continue to educate the rural communities, because I still believe that there are some rural communities where the girl child is still being oppressed.
So whatever gift that the Lord has endowed upon your life, make use of it.
It is, however, expected that at the end of the conference, participants will develop and exhibit pragmatic attitude towards their daily obligations. Uchenwizu, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Among the objectives of teacher education, as spelled out by the National Policy on Education, are the provision of highly motivated, conscientious and efficient classroom teachers, as well as enhancing the commitment to teachers to the teaching profession. To what extent have these objectives been attained, given that many believe that teacher training has been substandard? What are those requirements that can take Nigerian teachers to the desired level? Remain with us after this break for a closer look on your weekend companion.
When has it reached this? Much less this. And this. And this. And this. Help reclaim our Commonwealth. Lend your support to the fight against corruption for a better Nigeria.
The Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, invites state commissioners, permanent secretaries and directors of information and all other stakeholders in the information sector to the 46th National Council on Information with the theme, Leveraging on Information and Digital Technology to Sustain the Change Agenda of Government. Chief host, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, Governor of Delta State. Venue, Event Center, Okpanam Road, Asaba, Delta State. Date, 26 to 29 October 2016. Program is as follows. Wednesday, 26 October 2016. Time, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Arrival and registration of participants. Thursday, 27 October 2016. Time, 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Registration continues and 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. is slated for the technical session. Friday, 28 October 2016. Time, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Registration of state commissioners. 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Opening ceremony. And from 12 noon to 6 p.m., the council meeting will take place. Announcer, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The 2016 Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment meeting of the National Council of Industry, Trade and Investment will take place from Monday 24th to Thursday 27th of October 2016 at the June 12 Cultural Center, Kuto, Abeokuta, Ogun State. Theme, diversification of Nigerian economy from overdependence on oil export.
Who should attend? All state commissioners and PAMSECs of industry, trade, investment, commerce and tourism, CEOs of parastatals and agencies under the ministry, as well as development partners and organized private sector such as MAN, NASIMA, FACAN and others.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, will declare open the council meeting on Monday, 24th October 2016. All state commissioners for commerce, industry, trade, investment and tourism and other delegates are to arrive at Belkuta on Sunday, 23rd October 2016.
For further information, please contact Deputy Director, Planning, email umaru@yahoo.co.uk or call 0809 543 4179.
The Honorable, the Chief Justice of Nigeria and Chairman, National Judicial Council, Honorable Justice Mahmood Mohammed, GCON, will on Monday, 24th October 2016, launch the National Judicial Policy formulated by National Judicial Council. The policy document is to give direction to the Nigeria judiciary on the general administration of justice, including transparency and anti-corruption platform and mechanism. A 10-man Judicial Ethics Committee under the chairmanship of Honorable Justice Idris Legbo Kutigi, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, will be inaugurated during the event to prepare amendment to the Judicial Code of Conduct as the need arises, undertake responsibility to elaborate the provisions of the code and generally to do all things necessary to ensure a continuous high standard of judicial accountability and probity, conduct periodic surveys on behalf of counsel to measure public perception of level of compliance with ethical standards by the judiciary, monitor and report on laxity of judicial officers in the observance of ethical standards in the performance of judicial duties. The event will take place at the National Judicial Institute Auditorium along Airport Road, Abuja by 10 a.m. prompt. Signed, Management, National Judicial Council.
IGR Summit for local government leaders and administrators in Nigeria. With the significant fall in the price of crude oil and in keeping with the diversification policy of federal government of Nigeria, Sean Cousins Consulting and NTA TV Enterprise invites chairman of LGAs, councillors and DAS to IGR Summit for local government leaders and administrators in Nigeria. Date 16 to 17 November 2016. Venue Rays Continental Hotel, Central Business District, Abuja. For inquiries, please call 0818502145 or 090555999925. You can also email us with info@scbsedu.org or visit our website on www.scbsedu.org/LG to register. IGR Summit. The world has changed, so must we.
Okay, sir. You may now go in for your interview.
Thank you. Ah, my shoe. And to think I just bought this very expensive foreign shoe 2 months ago.
So sorry about your shoes. This is why I advise my friends to always patronize made in Nigeria products. See this shoe. It's made in Nigeria and I've had it for 2 years and it's still as good as the day I bought it.
Made in Nigeria products are good quality, and stringent government regulations and certification now mean the goods made in Nigeria meet international standards. Make the patriotic choice today. Buy right. Buy Made in Nigeria.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
And you're watching Weekend File on the network service of the NTA. The development of any nation largely depends on the level of education of its citizens, and quality education can only be guaranteed by professional and qualitative teachers. In recognition of this, the 61st National Council on Education held last month devoted time on teacher quality as a tool for sustainable human development. But then, low status, morale, and lack of professionalism in the teaching profession still pose challenges. Franca Uzomalwa examines that.
In the past decades, the teaching profession was respected as noble, and teachers were recognized as the most significant factors in the classrooms and molders of children's destinies. But it is no longer so. The status of the teaching profession has seriously declined in recent times, leading to difficulties in recruitment and retention of qualified teachers. Statistics from international development partners show that up to 44% of primary school teachers in Nigeria are unqualified. That means they do not possess the prescribed minimum teaching qualification, NCE. Other key issues and challenges facing the teaching profession are low quality of entrance into pre-service training, the inability of the colleges and faculties of education to match teacher supply with demand, and inadequate funding of teacher education.
There are so many dynamics, what you call classroom dynamics. So many changes in the classroom today. The classroom environment has now increased, and there are now more challenges. The teacher have to, especially when you are talking of ICT-mediated learning. That's why the teachers need a lot of retraining to be able to measure up to the international best practices.
As a radical measure to address the quality and quantity of teachers in public schools, the Ministry of Education identified teacher education, capacity building and professional development as one of the core pillars of the Ministerial Strategic Plan 2016 to 2019.
You cannot go to court now to argue a case on behalf of a client because they'll take you probably to jail. But if you take chalk, you can enter any class and teach when you don't have any requisite qualification for teaching. Therefore, I think the professionalization of teachers and registration of teachers will help in making sure that the profession is recognized and then quacks are kicked out.
Similarly, the proposed recruitment and training of 500,000 teachers is part of Nigeria's efforts to meet the targets of the Sustainable Development Goal 4. However, the status of the teaching profession, some say, has a lot to do with better motivation and job satisfaction to increase teacher retention and performance, as well as learning outcome of pupils.
We found out that quite a number of people are very much interested in the teaching profession. They were not looking at it like, let me just take this profession like to make way or to put bread and butter in their table.
When you think you can mentor, you can impact, and then it is not all about money, then you will succeed. But a lot of the people in the teaching profession are not really people that really want to teach. They do not have passion for it. They're just marking time until they get what they call the El Dorado.
But then, what should be the roles of the state governments and local government councils in the recruitment and improvement of teachers' welfare? And how can governments at all levels attract competent teachers, or better still, first-class brains to the classrooms, especially at the grassroots? Franca Uzoma Olwa, NTA News.
Thank you indeed, Franca, for that background report. In spite of the high number of teaching staff in public schools in Oyo State, quality of service and education in the state still leave much to be desired. Rafia Anemashon examines the quality of teaching profession in Oyo State.
In Oyo State, the Commissioner of Education, Science and Technology, Professor Joseph Oluwofela, says issues on teachers' qualification, staff strength, and job knowledge are being addressed by organizing cluster training, group assessment of teaching notes, and monitoring are some of the measures adopted by the state government to improve teaching.
We have a group of teachers, for instance, who are teaching different subjects, and they form what we call teaching notes. Those teaching notes will now complement regular textbooks and things like that, because the teaching notes will follow the syllabus for the students in particular subject matter.
Chairman, National Union of Teachers, Oyo State, stressed the need for adequate training of teachers to improve the quality of teaching.
The NUT in Oyo State will try as much as possible to make sure that any new teacher is given orientation. We liaise with the principals of the school.
It is not a big deal to ensure quality. The government has indicated certain things that must be in place, including Teachers Registration Council. If you go to either a college of education or a university to study education and you are graduating, at the point of graduation you should have been registered fully as a member of the Teachers Registration Council.
They have the certificate, truly, but they don't really have what it takes to be a teacher. Some of them, the grammar is wrong.
Teachers should be paid as at when due.
Relevant stakeholders, however, call for the reawakening of Teachers Training College as a prerequisite for teaching profession in Nigeria. Rafia Animashan, reporting for Weekend File.
Now, Fatima Sanusi Karaye brings us up to date with the situation in Kano.
Teachers are at the background, no motivation.
With a population of 3 million pupils across the 44 local government areas and over 50,000 teachers in Kano, the challenges of learning and teaching, such as inadequate facilities and lack of motivation, are weighing on the sector. Idris Gawuna has been a teacher for 20 years, but despite lack of motivation, he says he is as passionate as when he started.
Only twice I've been promoted.
The chairman, Nigerian Union of Teachers, says the quality of pupils produced largely depends on the quality of teachers. However, he says the challenges bedeviling the teaching profession in the country are surmountable if practical strategies and policies are adopted.
The most pressing problem facing teachers in Kano, more especially primary school teachers, is lack of prompt promotion and annual increment.
Kano State government is not oblivious of these daunting challenges, as reforms in the sector are ongoing, especially training of head teachers on modern strategies of effective instructional leadership for primary schools.
The workshop is very good. We are learning many things.
While this may not entirely solve the problem of teaching and teachers in the state, analysts believe that any effort aimed at addressing the situation is well done. For Idris, life continues as it is. Will his passion of teaching continue? Your guess is as good as mine. In Kano, Fatima Sanusi Garai, NTA News.
Education experts in the Southeast have advocated the reintroduction of a teaching service commission to augment the task of the Teachers Registration Council, which will further lend greater support to the teaching profession. Chinyere Okoye reports from Enugu.
In Enugu State, educationists say that teaching is not often regarded as a noble profession and therefore appealed for the prioritization of teaching with matching legislation to reinforce productivity.
Lack of institutional materials, dilapidated infrastructures, lack of trained, qualified teachers in the classrooms, lack of motivation.
When a teacher is retiring, the teacher is supposed to be giving their pension as and when due, so that it will encourage others.
The Ebonyi State government has, as a matter of policy, embarked on training and retraining of teachers, renovation of schools, as well as application of sanctions as a way of improving quality teaching and learning in the state.
We have put in 1.6 billion in renovation of schools, construction of 25,000 student purpose furniture in the classroom, and now about 2.084 is about to be spent again.
In Anambra State, stakeholders in the sector are advocating provision of needed infrastructure and enabling environment as key to improving the quality of teaching in the state. Also from Imo State, experts describe teaching and learning as one of the major roadmaps towards the development of any society, but challenged by low level of recognition and value.
I take teaching as a calling. If you're not called as a teacher, you do nothing.
So many schools these days have computer teacher on codes. Computer on codes that can just go and teach the theoretical part of it. They can't practice it. They can't give the teacher, the students, the practical aspect of it. They don't know it.
Some teachers are appealing to government at all levels to reintroduce living quarters for teachers in schools to aid effective monitoring, in addition to instituting annual awards for teachers to encourage productivity. In Enugu, Chinyere Okoye reporting for NTA Weekend File.
Improving the quality of the teaching profession is the topic tonight, and our guest is ready in the studio for the analysis. Now, let us take yet another break. We'll be back shortly.
Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Taste the nectar of paradise. Chi exotic nectar in pineapple, coconut, multifruita and other exotic flavors. The taste will take you there. Chi exotic nectar is key to paradise.
House of Chi.
Welcome back. Chief Sylvester Onoja is a retired teacher and a former principal of King's College, Lagos. He's here with me tonight to discuss the issue. Chief Onoja, you're welcome to Weekend File.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Now, the teacher quality has been described as the most important factor influencing students' achievement. Now, training is at the heart of quality. What is the situation in Nigeria?
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's unfortunate. The problem with education generally in Nigeria is politics. There is too much politics in education. And unless we take politics out of education, we are not likely to make progress. Politics has influenced the quality of people who are in charge of teacher training. We usually don't have the best men in positions. I'm not really for the best people, but at least competent people. Because the best man could be something else, but competent people. The training institutions have gone down in terms of lack of quality. You know, when teaching, the first teacher training college in Nigeria started in 1875, St. Andrew's College, Oyo. That was the first teacher.
1875?
1875. St. Andrew's College, Oyo was already in existence training teachers. And then we have in the southeast, Christ the King College, Onitsha was 1920. And Katsina College came in the 20s and 30s in northern Nigeria. The quality of teachers, those who know, had the responsibility of teaching those who do not know. Today, we have a situation in some training institutions that those who do not know are also teaching those who do not know. And education is the most important aspect of the life of any nation. Tomorrow can only be decided by the quality of education that you have. So training must be important, training must be taken seriously, and the right people should train, train as teachers. And I want to say also that maybe we have to bring legitimacy to education in Nigeria. What is legitimacy? Legitimacy in the sense that the right people are teaching and they are teaching rightly. And that is in the quality of teachers and the people you have.
So you actually made a very crucial point now that, that struck me, talking about not having the right people in institutions that should actually be responsible for the training of teachers. It does mean that whatever that comes out from such an institution may not meet international best standards. Now, talking about instructional materials, teaching aids, which are also essential, the Teacher Registration Council, the council's report indicated recently that majority of Nigerian teachers are outdated in their skills and techniques.
Of course, we have analog teachers teaching digitally minded students. The students of today are digitally minded. The students of today are on the internet. The teacher in the classroom is struggling to send a text message out. So, you have to train teachers to meet the challenges of today. You see, there are two different institutions that train teachers. There are some that are established and there are some that are cited. And that's what I talk about politics. If you go to a teacher training institution that was established over the years, it is nurtured, it is taken care of. The right staff are recruited to teach in such institutions. There's adequate funding and all that. But in these days, one governor goes somewhere and because he has got some support, he said, I will cite a teacher training college here. And that's it. They build 1 or 2 or 3 blocks. And teachers are not provided. Funds are not made available to run such institutions. And we have half-baked teachers, roaming our educational institutions. And again, we discriminate immediately. The teacher is not regarded. The society has abandoned the teacher. The parents too have abandoned the teacher. The Nigerian teacher is an orphan. Nobody cares for him. there's that respect that goes with the profession. I was principal of King's College. When King's College started in 1909, the principal of King's College, there were 3 buildings along the marina. One was for the governor at that time. The next one was for the managing director of Nigerian Railways, because Nigerian Railways had developed up to Ibadan and beyond that. And the third one was for the principal of King's College. In the absence of the governor, the managing director of the railway, Nigerian Railways at that time, acted as the governor of this Southern Protectorate. If both of them are out of town, the principal of King's College was the governor. Any society you go, after the chief, the teacher was the next one. Teacher was respected. All that was, it was so until 1968, when the Civil War broke out. And we had to pay for the war. The first set of workers that were owed salaries were teachers. A teacher that was respected in society, a teacher that was important, that was next to the chief, was now going out to buy foodstuff on credit. And because the teacher was not paid, he couldn't pay back. And the society came looking down on the teacher. The teacher started owing. A lot of teachers left at that time to join the Army Education Corps and all that. So the respect the teacher used to have was taken away, was no longer there. There was nothing that would make you want to be a teacher.
One may like to ask this question of why were the teachers, why were they attacked? You know, in the sense that, you know, they were neglected, ignored, old salaries. Are they the only professionals, or were they the only professionals that survived the war? So why was it on the teacher? Why?
Well, the teacher was the only one that you can take for granted. The teacher was the only one that you saw within, that you can see within the village and all that. The teacher was the least, I mean, the most harmless civil servant. And so they tend to ignore the teacher. But unfortunately, nobody would have been anybody in this country without the teacher.
All right, now the Teachers Registration Council now says it will reintroduce the professional qualifying examinations for all teachers, both at basic and tertiary levels, come January next year. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. There should be a regulatory body, I mean, to supervise teachers. The Teachers Registration Council is in place, right? But one aspect of the assignment of the Registration Council is also licensed teachers. Teachers are supposed to be licensed, like you have your driver's license, airline pilot license and all that, and you renew after, you know, some time. There are some states, and Kogi State is one of the states where teachers are registered. We must do that. We must try as much as possible. But the most important thing that we must do to retain teachers and improve the quality of education is to get the right people to teach. Until recently, if you want to go to teach, if you go to any of the teaching institutions, I mean teacher training institutions, 150 in JAM was enough for you to do so. I mean, you are recruiting the most brilliant people to go and teach others. If teachers are well paid, education in Nigeria will improve. If you ask, for example, anybody who wants to be a teacher should score not less than 200, 220, 240 in JAM. If you pick those ones, and you send them on scholarship to go to universities or bursary. When they finish, you pay them the salary you pay other people within the Nigerian civil service.
Scale, yeah.
Pay them what you pay people who work in the central bank. Give them a special salary. And then you have the best people who go for teaching. And until we can attract the best people to go for teaching, there's not much we can do to improve education in this country.
Right, exactly. Now, so let's go to the issue of ethical conduct of the teachers and work environment. These have also, played a role in all this.
I talk about establishing schools and citing schools. You see, I think there's some confusion. That's why I also said about politics in education. A lot of 1,000 teachers, I am paying 1,000 teachers. There are 600,000 to 700,000 students registered in my state and all that. The problem is that we are not planning. We are not planning. Education planning is supposed to be taken seriously. We are a country that has no respect for arithmetic. We have no respect for arithmetic. If we have respect for arithmetic, and what do I mean by that? You budget 2 billion for education. You give out 200 million. Do you have respect for arithmetic? You build a classroom for 40 students. You put in 80 students. Do you have respect for arithmetic? You built a school for 40 teachers. You put 10 teachers. Do you have respect for arithmetic? Until we respect arithmetic and until we plan properly, including educational planning, we are not likely to make progress.
Yeah, because one of the reports now we watched earlier on from Kano, you see pupils sitting on the floor and no writing materials, and one wonders, even the teacher there in that class, he seems to be confused at the same time. Now you are talking about planning. Now, if you are in the position today to advise the government, because of course there is a new roadmap, and the focus is on teacher education, which is the right decision to be taken at this point in time when Nigeria is talking about changing the status quo. Now, what would you be telling the government to do with respect to their focus now on teacher education?
Well, the first point I want to make is that what is happening to education today is not a problem, has nothing to do with this present administration. It has been dead for a long time. We have failed to plan. We have failed to take education seriously. Now, what we should do is to go back to the drawing board. You see, education needs some degree of continuity. Between 1960 and 2016, by my calculation, there have been about 54 ministers of education, including ministers of state. There's no continuity. There's no continuity. Ajanwa Chukwu was Minister of Education from 1958. Of course, he came to independence, and Wenike Briggs and others took over. But since then, we have had all this number. There is no continuity. There should be continuity so that the programs we have can be supervised adequately. Now, some of the states, are not listening to what Abuja is saying about education. I agree that education is on the concurrent list, but it's not being taken seriously. And we need to address education, because without it, we cannot make progress. This country cannot make any progress without quality education. There is need for quality education. And that quality education can only be made possible if the teachers are trained, if the teachers are retained, and if the teachers are motivated. Today, the teachers are on their own. They are neglected. There are states in this country where teachers have not been paid for the last 8 months. And we expect them to take care of those who will take the responsibility of this country in future.
Now, I'll take you back to my question of the present administration says there has to be a stop to this. And the new plan is in place. So if you're part of the team, what will you be telling them? Let's see how this roadmap can solve the problem.
The roadmap can solve the problem if we are all committed. I have seen the document. Beautiful. Let us start. Let the states and the federal government come together and plan seriously. There are states and there are agencies that are paying lip service to education. There is always money for education, but that money is not used for education. I'm saying the money to build a new airport is for education. Why don't you use that? That money for new government house is for education. That money that you use to sponsor people to go on pilgrimage, that money is for education. We can fund education if we want to fund education. I think that this government is serious and is committed, and I think that if proper planning is put in place, we will get it right. I think that, I have a lot of confidence in this administration to ensure that what is happening to education can now be, we will find a solution to it.
Yeah, and that's what many Nigerians are also believing, that the time for change is here, and that should affect all aspects of our life.
And the teacher is key. The teacher is key. If we want to get our education right, number one, we must get teacher training right. Number two, we must get teacher welfare right. And number three, we must make sure that the right people are recruited to teach. And then our education should be properly planned.
All right, Chief Sylvester Onoja, I'd like to thank you for finding or sharing your time and the wide experience, with us on this program tonight. Well, of course, being the former principal of King's College, the famous King's College, you're actually the right person to be on this platform. Thank you very much for being part of the program.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Chief Sylvester Onoja on our show tonight. Now, happenings in the world of sports is still on our timeline as you take this last break. And please don't go away.
The production, distribution, and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as the internally displaced people's camps. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with
Rotary Club Abuja intensifies fight against polio eradication in Nigeria as Federal Road Safety Corps jog against sickle cell in the country. Ayodeji Makinde now reports.
Week-long activities marking the 2016 World Polio Day continued on Saturday as members of Rotary Club Abuja and strategic partners in the eradication of the polio disease participated in a walking and jogging exercise.
Had week one champion Enrique Lopez Perez of Spain beating Calvin Hemery of France in 2 straight sets in a pulsating final.
4 years ago to Nigeria, I won both. I come back 4 years later, I won both.
In the women's event, it was a repeat of the week one, but the tables turned in favor of Connie Perry of Switzerland, who emerged champion, beating Tajeda Majeric of Slovakia 6-3, 6-3.
I wanted to have revenge today and I managed it, so I'm just really happy.
Lagos State Governor Kewumi Ambode represented assured the organizers of government's unflinching support for the competition.
We have to develop our sport facilities in the country, first of all, because we need to encourage the young men and women who are interested in sports.
The Minister of Sports was also represented at the final.
The diplomatic effect of this program alone, 1 billion naira cannot buy it. Lagos State map is on the circuit. Nigeria definitely is on the circuit.
A 5-point communique released at the end of the Nigerian Football Supporters Club reconciliatory meeting at the instance of the Nigerian Football Federation, chaired by Bola Oyeyode, directed that elections into the National Executive Committee takes place in December this year, while the President General's position and that of the Vice will become vacant in July 2017. The communique also directed that the acting national chairman, Vincent Okumagba, tenders a letter of apology to the chairman board of trustees of the club with a directive to the club to reverse his impeachment and suspension in the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup final played Friday. North